Butter, a simple yet essential part of kitchens around the world. It's a key ingredient in countless recipes, from creamy sauces to flaky pastries and of course spread on toast or pancakes. But have you ever wondered how butter goes from being milk and cream to the smooth, spreadable delight we know and love? Think about this. How many tons of butter are made every single day to meet global demand? Whether it's used for cooking, baking, or simply enjoying a warm piece of bread, butter is a staple in almost every household. But how do factories handle producing so much of it while maintaining the high quality we expect? In this video, we're going to take you behind the scenes to show you how butter is made in a factory. You'll see how fresh cream is churned, how it's shaped and packaged, and how factories ensure the butter you find at the store is fresh and delicious. From the raw materials to the final packaging, every step is important to create the perfect butter. We'll take you through the entire process, from where the cream comes from all the way to when it's sealed and shipped off to grocery stores. If you've ever been interested to know how everyday products we eat and use are made in factories, then hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to make sure you don't miss our upcoming videos on how everyday products are made. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and share this video for others to learn. Before butter makes its way to your kitchen, it all starts with raw materials. While you might be familiar with butter's final creamy form, there's an essential process that happens long before it reaches the store shelf. Butter is made from two primary ingredients, milk and cream. These come from cows, but not just any cows. Only the best, well-cared-for dairy cows are used to produce the freshest, highest quality cream. Let's take a closer look at where and how these materials are sourced before they arrive at the factory. The process starts on dairy farms that are scattered all over the world. The United States, New Zealand, and Europe are some of the biggest producers of milk used for butter. Milk from cows is collected and then separated into cream and skim milk. While skim milk is often used for other products like cheese, the cream is what's vital for butter production. But how do these farms ensure they're getting the best cream possible? The quality of the cream depends on what the cows eat, how they're raised, and the environment they live in. Dairy farms work hard to feed their cows the right kind of food, typically a diet rich in grass, hay, and grains, to ensure they produce high-quality milk. Cows are kept in conditions that maximize comfort and health, as healthy cows produce the best milk and cream. The process is labor-intensive, requiring farmers to carefully manage the health and well-being of their herds. After the milk is collected, it's sent to dairies, where it undergoes a process called separation. This is where the cream is separated from the skim milk using a centrifuge. A centrifuge is a machine that spins the milk at high speeds, causing the heavier milk components to separate from the lighter ones, leaving behind the rich cream. This cream is what will eventually be churned into butter. At this point, the cream might be sent to storage tanks at the dairy, where it will be cooled to preserve its freshness before being transported to factories. It's essential that the cream maintains its quality throughout this process. Dairy producers test the cream to make sure it's free from contaminants and that it has the right amount of butter fat. The higher the butter fat, the richer and creamier the butter will be. Now, let's talk about the scale of it all. Did you know that in the United States alone, more than 9 million tons of milk are produced every year? A huge portion of this milk is used to make butter, which is shipped to factories and processed into the butter you buy at the store. But the sheer scale of the process requires a lot of labor and attention to detail at every step. Not only must the cream be collected and separated, but it also has to be transported in the right conditions, maintaining a cool temperature to prevent spoilage. The cream is checked for consistency and purity at multiple points, ensuring that only the highest quality cream makes it to the next phase of production. Once the cream has been harvested and tested for quality, it's ready to move on to the processing and manufacturing stage, where the real process happens. The cream will go through churning, a process that turns the cream into butter by separating the butter fat from the remaining liquid, buttermilk. The entire sourcing process is an important step in ensuring that only the best ingredients make their way into your butter. As the cream moves to the factory for processing, the journey continues. The next stage involves turning that fresh cream into butter, a process that will further refine its texture and taste. This step turns fresh cream into a product that's spreadable, rich, and ready for packaging. So, how does this process work? Let's break it down. First, the cream is transported from storage tanks to a churning machine. This machine is designed to separate the butter fat from the liquid part of the cream. Inside the churning machine, the cream is agitated or stirred for a period of time. At this point, you might be wondering, how does agitation turn cream into butter? Well, as the cream is churned, the butter fat begins to clump together. This is because the agitation causes the fat molecules in the cream to stick together, forming solid lumps of butter. The remaining liquid is buttermilk, which is drained away. At this stage, you're starting to see the transformation from cream to butter. The churning process itself might seem simple, but it's far from it. The speed and timing of the churning are important for ensuring the butter has the right texture and consistency. Too much churning and the butter can become too stiff. Not enough, and it won't form properly. Can you imagine how many steps are involved in this process, even though it might seem quick and simple? The machine's role is vital, as it controls how the butter fat separates from the liquid, helping to create butter that's smooth and spreadable. Once the butter has formed, it's time for the washing process. This might sound a little unusual, but the butter is washed to remove any remaining buttermilk. If this step is skipped, the butter could end up with a sour taste. So, after churning, the butter is placed into a machine that adds cold water to rinse away any residual buttermilk. The butter is then kneaded in the machine to help remove any excess water, and the texture is refined even further. At this point, the butter is starting to look and feel like the spreadable product we know. Now comes an interesting part: salt. Many kinds of butter are salted to add flavor and extend shelf life. The salt is added during the kneading process, where the butter is mixed thoroughly to ensure the salt is evenly distributed. There's also unsalted butter, which is typically used for baking. In either case, adding salt helps preserve the butter and brings out the creamy taste we all recognize. At this stage, the butter is also colored if necessary. Some butter is naturally yellow thanks to the keratin in the cow's diet. However, in some cases, manufacturers add a small amount of coloring to achieve the desired shade of yellow. This step ensures the butter looks consistent across different batches, making it visually appealing for customers. The color might seem like a minor detail, but it's important for branding and consistency, especially in large-scale production. After the butter is churned, washed, kneaded, salted, and sometimes colored, it's almost ready for the assembly line. But before it gets there, the butter goes through one final step: cooling. The butter needs to be cooled to a specific temperature to become solid enough to be shaped into blocks or sticks. Large refrigerated cooling tanks help bring the butter to the right consistency before it's packed. The cooling process ensures that the butter sets properly and doesn't become too soft when it reaches the store shelves. It's a simple but vital step to ensure the butter is spreadable and doesn't melt too easily. Can you picture how many steps it takes to go from fresh cream to butter? Every step plays a role in creating the perfect texture and taste. The churning, washing, kneading, and cooling all contribute to the final product. Once cooled, the butter is ready for the assembly line, where it will be shaped, packaged, and prepared for distribution. But before it gets there, every step in the processing and manufacturing phase ensures it's the best it can be. Once the butter has been churned, washed, kneaded, and cooled to the right consistency, it's ready to move on to the next stage, the assembly line. This is where everything comes together, from shaping the butter to preparing it for the next steps. The assembly line is a fast-paced, carefully coordinated process that ensures the butter is packaged and ready for delivery to stores. At the start of the assembly line, the butter is transferred from the cooling tanks to machines that begin the shaping process. Depending on the type of butter, this could mean shaping the butter into blocks, sticks, or even tubs. The butter is placed into molds that are designed to create a specific shape, and the excess butter is trimmed away to ensure it fits the packaging perfectly. These molds can shape the butter quickly and efficiently, allowing for large quantities to be made every hour. Once shaped, the butter moves down the line, where it undergoes a series of steps to get it ready for quality control. Some of these steps include measuring and weighing the butter to ensure it meets the required size and weight. These checks are done automatically by machines that scan and weigh each piece of butter as it moves along the conveyor belt. Any butter that doesn't meet the required specifications is removed and set aside for further review. In some factories, robot-assisted machines play an important role in this process. While humans supervise the operation, robots are often used to perform repetitive tasks like moving large blocks of butter or adding finishing touches to the packaging. These robots help speed up the process and make it more efficient, while workers focus on making sure everything runs smoothly. The use of robotics in the assembly line is a fun example of how technology can improve the speed and accuracy of manufacturing, even for something as simple as butter. But even though the machines are doing the heavy lifting, there's still a need for human skill in this phase. Workers are there to monitor the machines, ensure that everything is running as it should, and make quick adjustments when necessary. For example, if a machine malfunction or a mistake happens, a skilled worker can step in and fix the issue without disrupting the whole assembly line. While machines handle most of the work, human oversight is critical to keeping everything on track. Once the butter has been shaped, weighed, and checked, it moves to the next part of the assembly line, packaging. But before we get to that, it's important to note that everything on the assembly line is designed to make the process as smooth and efficient as possible. From the butter shaping machines to the weighing systems, every machine plays a specific role in creating the perfect butter for packaging. The beauty of the assembly line lies in its coordination. Each part of the process works seamlessly with the next, allowing for mass production without compromising on the quality of the butter. So, when you think about it, the assembly line is a lot more complex than it might seem at first glance. There are multiple steps happening simultaneously, and machines and humans work together to ensure the butter meets high standards of size, texture, and appearance. It's a fast-moving, efficient system that is essential for getting the butter from the factory to store shelves in a timely manner. Once the butter is shaped and weighed, it's ready for quality control, which is the next stage in the process. Here, the butter is inspected for any defects, and it's checked to make sure it meets the required standards. If there are any issues, they are addressed before the butter is sent off for packaging. Quality control is one of the most important stages in the production process, as it ensures that every batch of butter meets the standards for freshness, taste, texture, and safety. But how do factories check if the butter is up to par? Let's take a look at the process. First, the butter is visually inspected to check for any obvious defects. Workers are on hand to look for anything unusual, like cracks, improper shapes, or mismatched portions. These are easy to spot and remove from the line. Even though the butter is handled by machines, humans still play an important role in this stage by overseeing the operation and catching any mistakes that the machines might miss. Once the butter passes the visual inspection, it undergoes a series of tests. One of the most important tests is the moisture test. Butter has to have just the right amount of moisture. If the moisture level is too high, it could make the butter spoil more quickly, affecting its shelf life. If it's too low, the butter could end up being too dry. To test this, random samples of butter are taken from the assembly line and sent to a lab, where they're checked for their water content. This ensures the butter maintains its ideal texture. Another important test is checking the taste and texture. A small team of trained tasters will sample butter from different batches to ensure it has the right flavor. Butter should be rich, creamy, and smooth. It shouldn't taste sour, greasy, or overly salty unless it's a salted variety. The texture is also key. Good butter should be soft enough to spread easily, but not runny. What happens if a product doesn't meet quality standards? And how do factories fix the problem without affecting production? Well, the good news is that modern factories are built to handle these issues without slowing down production. If a batch doesn't pass the moisture test, it's sent back for adjustments. If the butter's texture is off, it's either reprocessed or blended with a new batch of butter that meets the standard. In some cases, it might even be redirected for use in another product, like margarine or baked goods, where the texture isn't as crucial. This means the problem can be fixed without wasting ingredients or causing production delays. Sometimes human intervention is needed to fix the problem. If a batch isn't meeting standards, a worker might step in to adjust the machinery, making small changes to the churning process or the cooling system to bring the butter back in line with quality expectations. These quick adjustments ensure the production line keeps moving and the problem is addressed without causing a disruption. But first, the quality control team makes sure that the butter is stored in the proper conditions to preserve its freshness. Butter must be kept at the right temperature to maintain its smooth texture and prevent it from spoiling. The factory ensures that the environment stays controlled, with the butter being stored in cool areas until it's ready for packaging. The butter has passed through the quality control stage, which guarantees that every batch is safe to eat, tastes great, and looks perfect when it reaches the consumer. The butter manufacturing process moves to another stage: packaging and distribution. This is where the butter is sealed in containers and sent out for delivery. This step is vital to ensure the butter stays fresh, safe, and ready for the shelves. But how does the butter make its way from the factory to your kitchen? Let's break it down. The first part of the packaging process involves shaping the butter into its final form, whether it's a block, stick, or tub. This is where the butter is placed into its mold and carefully sealed to prevent air from getting in. This step is important because oxygen can cause the butter to spoil faster. After it's shaped, the butter is wrapped in wax paper or plastic film, depending on the type of packaging. This protective wrapping helps keep the butter fresh and prevents contamination. Once wrapped, the butter moves on to the next stage, sealing. The wrapped butter is placed in a sealing machine where it is sealed in a plastic or foil wrap. This packaging is designed to lock in the butter's freshness while also providing a clear, easy-to-read label with essential information like the expiration date, ingredients, and storage instructions. Some types of butter, like spreadable butter, may also come in tubs, which are sealed with a plastic lid and covered with a tamper-evident film to ensure the product hasn't been opened before purchase. So, what materials are used for packaging? Most butter is packaged in plastic, wax paper, or foil, with some brands opting for recyclable or biodegradable options to reduce environmental impact. The use of plastic is common because it's lightweight, protective, and affordable, but it's also a concern in terms of waste. As sustainability efforts grow, many factories are exploring eco-friendly alternatives, such as recycled plastic or paper-based packaging, to reduce the environmental footprint. Now let's think about how the butter is packaged for transportation and customer use. Once the butter is sealed and ready for retail, it's packed into larger boxes or crates. These bulk containers hold several units of butter, which are then shipped to distribution centers. From there, the butter is sent to grocery stores, where it will be placed on shelves for customers to purchase. During transportation, the butter must be kept at a specific temperature to ensure it remains in perfect condition. Refrigerated trucks are often used for this purpose, especially for unsalted butter that needs to stay cool to preserve its texture and flavor. Have you ever noticed packaging innovations in the butter you buy? Some brands are now offering butter in more eco-friendly packaging, like cardboard cartons or recyclable containers, in an effort to be more sustainable. What do you think of these efforts? Have you seen anything that caught your attention? The packaging process ensures that the butter arrives at stores fresh, safe, and ready for use. From the sealing of the butter to the protective wrapping and transportation, every detail is important in making sure the butter stays in top condition until it's ready to be spread on your bread. After packaging, the butter is sent out for distribution, where it's delivered to grocery stores and ready to be enjoyed by customers everywhere. From the moment fresh cream is collected from the farm to the final step of packaging, creating butter is a detailed and well-coordinated process. It all begins with sourcing high-quality cream, followed by churning, washing, and kneading to create the butter's smooth, rich texture. Then, the butter is shaped, sealed, and tested for quality before moving on to packaging, ensuring it stays fresh and safe for consumers. Every stage, from the manufacturing to the packaging, involves machines working hand-in-hand with skilled workers to make sure the butter is of the highest quality. Each step in this process is designed for speed and efficiency, but also with care, so the final product meets the standards that we all expect. Now that you know how butter is made, we'd love to hear from you. What product would you like to see the manufacturing process next? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video of how butter is made, then subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. That way, you won't miss our upcoming videos about how everyday products are produced. Also, don't forget to like, share, and comment so others too can learn from this video. See you in our next video.